Hey there, fellow Wargamers. It's the Sentinel from across the tabletop, and tonight we have a breakdown of the Custodians army that we're taking to the International Teams Tournament in Northampton. And that's going to be...
You make it sound so glamorous saying international.
It is
in Northampton.
But yeah, it's the International Team Tournament.
It is.
And this is Rich's army that he's going to be piloting, and it's at 2,000 points. Rich, you want to take us through what the host is that you're running and why?
So I've gone with Dreadhost because they are basically the melee specialists, although Custodians in general are pretty decent in melee, because the Dreadhost, with the abilities they get of the extra AP for all attacks within 9 inches and re-rolling every single charge, is just awesome if you're looking to crunch in melee. And it fits quite nicely with my playstyle, which I like for Custodians. I like to basically just get in there turn 2 and then mow people down as much as I can in melee. So that's why I've gone with that. I haven't really looked at other Dreadhosts too much. I've seen it as, some of the 4+ mortal wound shrugs and re-rolling hit rolls similar to kind of some of the Eldar and Orc traits, but I think Custodians are an elite melee army, so let's just buff them up as much as possible.
Brilliant. And you get the rerolls on the vehicles as well for the charges.
Yeah, so the Dreadnoughts and any vehicles get it. The Dreadhost applies to any unit. It's the Martial Katars that don't apply to the Dreadnoughts and vehicles, I believe.
Amazing. So do you want to run us through the army? I can see a very important character at the front there.
Yeah, so kind of an auto include for every Custodians army at the moment is Trajan Valoris. He is the commander as such of the 10,000 in lore and in my army. He's my warlord because he has to be. He's a tank. He can take punishment and deal it out.
So what's his stat line? What's his abilities?
So he comes with 2 warlord traits. So the first of which allows him to heroically intervene 6 inches. I can't remember the names of them.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry.
we shorthand everything anyway. So as long as we know what the ability is.
So he also allows he can reroll wound rolls and hit rolls of 1 for all nearby units.
It's like a captain sort of order from the Space
like
Marine.
Gilliman basically, but just ones for any core units. But basically everything is core with the exception of the Dreadnoughts. Or actually, I think the Achilles is a core unit now that I think about it. He can also reroll hit rolls of 1 for himself, which is pretty tasty.
Yeah, the only character in the game that can do that.
Is he actually the only one? Okay, yeah.
I think Gilliman can, but it's a different rule.
Yeah, it's a legacy rule.
It's a legacy rule from 8th. But considering he's a 9th edition character, I think he's the only one that can re-roll himself.
Yeah, so
in the Imperium sort of side of life.
Yeah, and his other ability is a 5+ plus command point regeneration once per turn.
Amazing!
For any spent command points.
Is that yourself or opponent?
Just on your own. Yeah,
cool.
Just on your own. So it's like Calgar basically. He's also got 4+ invulnerable and 5+ feel no pain. So
a standard across the board. I think 4+ invuln, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every single model in this army has a 4+ invuln.
Apart from this one, he's got 5+ invulnerable.
Oh, the poor Contemptor at the back wasn't big enough.
Yeah. But yeah, and the 2 Dreadnoughts are -1 damage.
Now
as well,
the warlord traits you mentioned on Trajan, I'm assuming that's something you have to take with him.
Yeah,
it has to be a warlord, and he has those 2.
It's like all named characters; they have preset warlord traits, so you can't. Unless you're playing like a friendly game, you could mess around.
And his relic,
his relic. So he's got, I forget, it's called like the Watcher's Axe or something like that. Yeah. So it's ×2 strength. It's -3. It's flat 3 damage.
It's a strength 8 essentially.
He's strength 10.
It's a strength 10 weapon, so he has like a big thunder hammer.
Yeah, -4, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s or 3s.
So he's a proper beat stick in combat.
Yeah, you don't want to get in there, and he's got a dagger as well.
And he's got the little, never forget that free dagger now.
Never forget the extra.
You're not paying the points for it.
No, exactly. So yeah.
And then I see a Terminator. Is it a Terminator?
Terminator captain.
A Terminator
captain. Terminator. He's a captain. He is. So he's also got a warlord trait. So he's packing. Let me think, what is he packing? What have I given him? So he's got a relic, which is Praetorian Plate. So this is what all Terminator captains have at the moment. Basically, it gives him +1 toughness, so he's toughness 6. And he can teleport once per game into engagement range of an enemy unit, as long as he's within 3 inches of a friendly unit. So he kind of comes to the rescue of his buddies.
That's cool.
Now, recently, as rules as written, it doesn't counter-work intervention. For the purposes of
Being attacked.
ITT,
Yeah.
it will counter-work intervention. So,
Yes, I think GW has ruled it that it's not, and the ITC has ruled it as it is.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to strike it back against it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to have a little bit of due caution with what you do. To that effect, I've also spent a CP to give him a warlord trait of superior creation, which is also at 5 up, feel no pain.
Nice.
So he's toughness 6, 4 up and vulnerable, 5 up, feel no pain.
And we've seen and heard a lot about that 5 up in Von.
Yeah, you guys hate it.
The feel no pain.
hate it.
Yeah. Everybody in our team have said that 5 up, feel no pain is a reason why he's stayed around till turn 4.
Yeah, he's shrugged off Demolisher tanks, he's shrugged off Arrowman, he's shrugged off numerous Orc buggies. Actually, no, against Nick, he's never done particularly well against Nick. He's
just the overwhelming
carved
firepower
through you a couple of times.
Yeah, absolutely. I struggled the first time we played against him, and I just couldn't kill him.
Yeah, last game we played, you picked him off, but
I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice, and then all his mates came along to avenge him.
That was it. Yeah, I got murdered after that.
So they're my 2 HQ units.
Yeah, and then I see is it a Vexilla?
Vexillus
Praetor.
So
this isn't in Terminator armor, is it? Because you can get 2. You get 1 in Terminator armor.
Yeah, you can get 1 in Terminator armor. I was debating whether to get 1 or not and deep striking him in, but he doesn't have a weapon. So you can have a dagger.
But he doesn't get anything else.
He doesn't get an axe or a spear, which seems a bit odd. So I thought I'd go with this guy instead.
Because he does.
He does get he's got the spear. Yeah. Which just gives him a bit more strength, oomph in melee.
It gives him like 5 attacks at AP4 essentially, doesn't it?
Yeah,
2 damage.
The spear is his strength 7 minus 4, 2 damage. And I'd rather have him on the board to protect the guys from the off rather than coming down potentially after being shot at for 2 turns.
Yeah.
So his banner is the -1 to any unit within 6 inches counts as being in dense cover.
Yeah. Now he doesn't have any warlord traits or additional relics.
No,
it's just that simple -1 to hit for the army wide.
Sorry, one thing we forgot on Trajan.
Yeah.
His moment shackle ability.
Yes, this is an interesting concept to the moment shackle.
Why interesting concept?
It's a different type of mechanic where it's adding another element to the depth of an army. Yes. No one else has this at the moment across any of the other codexes where they're able to affect without using CP. It's something they just get given as a rule.
All right. Well, I'll take it for now until he gets nerfed, but essentially he's got a once per game he can do one of A, B or C. So A is reduce any damage he's taken to 0. So he could be shot at by a volcano cannon from a shadow sword, or
that new gun from the Tau.
The rail gun from the Tau ignores invulnerables and everything. He's going, no, that's 0 damage. Thank you very much. He could also then or interrupt for free in combat, or he could fight again at the end of the fight phase.
Yeah.
Which if you've surrounded him, you think yes, we're going to kill him next turn, and then he just hacks you down again. Could be quite useful. So he's packing that along with all his extra buffs. So he's for 160 points. It's a steal. It's an absolute bargain with him at the moment.
And then we've got in troops then, moving on.
3 units of troops. So just behind Trajan, we've got a unit of 3 guys with swords and shields. And then behind them is 2 3-man units with spears. And they're just going to be my guys who will... The 2 spear units I tend to sort of stick on the flanks to hold objectives. And just hide as much as I can.
Toughness 5, toughness 5,
2 up save,
3 wound to pop, 2 up save.
Yeah, 4 up invulnerable.
4 up invulnerable, very tough to get rid of.
The shield guys,
winning cover.
Yeah, the shield guys are a bit more durable. They're toughness 5, but they've got effectively a 1 up save. And if they're in cover, then they're a 0 up save. So you've got to be hitting them with -3 to get them off a 2 up save.
Yeah, put them on a 3. Absolutely.
There's also stratagems you can put on these guys which makes them -1 to hit in melee and all sorts of things.
And you've got that new alchemy stratagem as well for the transhuman essentially.
Yes, so there's 2 key stratagems that will be vital for me in my army, and one is essentially transhuman. It's arcane genetic alchemy, I think, for Custodians, and that's basically wound on 4s. And the other one is turn off all rerolls against 1 unit. So
And that what we mean by that is the unit being targeted.
Yeah.
So you're getting shot at, and you're like, this unit cannot have any rerolls across the entire phase from your army. You cannot reroll to hit my unit.
It works quite well because particularly with this kind of army where a third of my army is in deep strike straight away. If I have a 4-man unit of wardens with the 3-man shield guys who I want to stick on the centre objective, which is exposed, I'll just stick them out on their own, have the banner tucked away somewhere nearby. and then whack 2 points to turn off all rerolls and give them a transhuman.
Yeah, incredible.
To 4-up wounding, and they're saving on 1s or 0s.
Yeah, it definitely makes, and being toughness 5 as well, makes a massive difference.
So it's part of my stratagem. My strategy is to kind of soak it up turn 1 and turn 2, depending who's got first.
Yeah, move as fast as you can turn 1, soak it up turn 2, and then charge.
Basically.
Yeah. So we've got then in elites, I can see wardens on both flanks. So we have 2 units of 4
2 4-man units of wardens. Wardens have suddenly become really good. And now, I always liked wardens.
Their ability is the bodyguard. Is that correct?
Well, so basically they're essentially the same as one of these dudes. Yeah. They can either pack spears or axes. I've gone for axes because I think they're better.
They stand out. You can see them more.
They stand out more, but they're also strength 8. So.
Oh wow! Yeah.
A spear is strength 7. An axe is strength 8, it's +2, +3. Yeah. You sacrifice the AP, they're only -2 AP.
But you've got the additional AP to bring it back up to 3s.
So they're AP 3 anyway.
Yeah.
So for most things, they'll be winning on 2s.
Yeah.
They'll be winning a Lehman Russ on 4s. That's not a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal.
And they've got 4 attacks each rather than these guys who've got 3 each.
And Trajan gives them the rerolls. So it's huge.
Yeah. And as you said, they've got the bodyguard rule.
Yeah.
So you stick one of these guys or any unit next to a character, you cannot shoot that character.
Yeah. And you just stick that character on an objective, and you hide the rest of the wardens, and that's it. You've now got to remove 16 wounds to get to Trajan all the characters.
And these guys have a 6-up feel no pain.
Yeah, T5, 6-up to feel no pain, 4 wounds, 2-up save.
They've only got 3 wounds.
They've only got 3 wounds for wardens. It's the Terminators that have got 4.
Exactly, Terminators have 4 wounds.
So
the wardens
moving
are
on
now...
to the Terminators then.
Yeah, so the Terminators, 2 4-man units of Terminators. We've got purple squad and we've got blue squad.
And these are the cloaks, aren't they?
Yeah.
The cloaks that are different.
Yeah, that's it. Just how I differentiate. My friend John painted the majority of this stuff up for me. He did a fantastic job. I've since added to it. But yeah, he did lovely 2 Terminator squads.
All laid out the same equipment?
They have axes.
Axes again, making T8. Or strength 8.
Strength 8, and they've got wrist-mounted grenade launchers as well.
Oh, which are absolutely devastating. Yeah. I'm always shocked when you fire these grenades and they've got the AP they have. Yeah. Yes, they're only damage 1, but the AP on them is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, especially after they've come in the second turn if they're still alive and they get close. They can just carve through stuff because it'll be -4 if they're within 9 inches.
Yeah, -4 grenades. Yeah, when you think about grenades being thrown in the Warhammer, it's like -1 or 0, no AP.
Yeah. So it's D3 shots each. Yeah. So it could be 4, it could be 12.
4 to 12 shots at AP 4 grenades. It's just scary.
And their axes as well.
And their strength 5 grenades, aren't they? I believe.
Yeah, strength 5.
It's just insane.
And I think they're blast as well. I think.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they got the blast keyword because they've become D3. So we've got then at the back a Contemptor and a Trailus, did you say it was?
An Achilles. Contemptor Dreadnought.
Yeah.
So he's got basically a massive spear and a Stormbolter for all intents and purposes. His spear is pretty much the only anti-armor we have. It's strength 8 -2 and it's 3 damage a pop. So it's all right. It's kind of like a slightly underpowered las cannon. But it's when he gets into combat that's what you really want. He's got a 5-up invulnerable save, 2-up core save, toughness 7, strength 7. So he's all right, but he's also got -1 damage like any other Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And he's also got a 6-up shrug.
The core keyword for the rerolls.
He's got core.
Yeah.
He's leadership 11. And if you can get him into melee, he's strength 14, -6, 3 or 4
attacks or something like that.
It's only 5 attacks.
5 attacks at -4. That's still pretty.
-4, and they're D3 plus 3 plus D3 damage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Minimum 4 damage.
Minimum 4 damage.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the beat stick in combat to deal with the bigger, heavier
He's my
stuff.
initial beat stick.
Yeah.
And then
everybody's beat sticking.
Then we've got
every single model's a beat stick on their own.
Then we've got the log, the tree trunk at the back.
Because you just said that's your anti-armor, but realistically, it's your Telemon.
Sorry, anti-armor shooting.
Anti-armor shooting with that 1-shot las cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 shots. They have
2-shot las cannon. Yeah.
It's heavy too. So yeah, then I basically spend a CP, not always, but almost certainly going to spend a CP to put this guy in deep strike.
Yeah, because you've given him a special relic, if I remember correctly.
He has he has 2 stratagems put on him basically. He's got Eternal Penitent, which gives him an extra attack and gives him +1 to his charge because of my inbuilt reroll. Normally it'd be a reroll charge, but because I've already got reroll charge for Dreadhost, it gives me +1 to his charge. So you can deep strike in, and he only needs an 8.
And which is massive.
Which is rerollable for free.
When you're getting that 8-inch rerollable charge, it's almost guaranteed. Yeah. Almost guaranteed.
Almost. And he's hitting with 2 plasma fists, these 2 things, which give him an extra attack each with Eternal Penance. He's got 7 attacks. So he's hitting on 2s. Strength 16, he's pretty much going to be winning anything on 2s, with the exception of 1 or 2 things. And then -4.
Yeah.
And it's flat 4 damage.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it is a flat 4 damage power fist. It's just so
He'll rip through a tank, he'll rip through a Redemptor.
Well, any character.
Unless, your Chapter Master survived because you rolled really well in your.
The 4-pin Von. Yeah, it was a 4-pin Von. It was 3 up at the time, because I gave him that special ability. But I think the 2 Dreadnoughts plus Trajan and then everybody else being beat sticks is amazing. One other thing you have as well is across the army has a 4-pin Von bar the Contemptor. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Okay, so the reason why this sort of particular army then that you went for in the end. So why did you choose Custodians to play?
What, initially?
Initially, yeah.
So when I used to play back when I was about 12 years old, me and my friend used to play a Horus Heresy board game. I don't know if any of you remember it. It was basically the battle for the Imperial Palace.
Yeah.
And it was a massive board game, and you just had little tokens. There was no armies or anything. But you could have the Adeptus Custodes on the Imperial Palace, and they couldn't do anything offensively, but they were awesome in defence.
Yeah.
So you stick them with the Emperor and Sanguinius and the Blood Angels in the Imperial Palace. Anyway, 2018 they announced the Custodes, and I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I got my box of Wardens when I could, because they were really hard to get initially. And they weren't particularly good. They were all right. Everyone, initially they were all right,
okay,
but they weren't amazing. And over time, they just got worse and worse and worse.
Because they came out originally at the end of 7th, didn't they?
I think they were one of the very first 8th codex.
So yeah, I believe they came out in 7th, and they had their original, because they didn't come out as a custody on their own. They're part of another line of models.
I can't remember now.
And then they came out, like you said, as their own faction, own codex, own way as you go at the beginning of 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing to see them on the tabletop, to be honest.
And it just, I mean, the numbers of people now playing Custodes, they've obviously just come out of the woodwork going, I can play them again now, they're not terrible. Because I played you a number of times with them, and you just shot them to pieces. And even with like 4-up and vulnerables, not much has changed in that aspect, but it's just the subtle nuances that have been dealt through this.
Yes.
And to a lesser extent that.
Well, being able to have the ability to transhuman, and everything's across the board is toughness 5, plus then your damage output has massively increased. You've gone from losing all those D3.
The D3 damage.
The D3 damage, which was absolutely atrocious when we had the 2 wounded Marines come along. You just couldn't kill an intercessor.
My D3 damage rolls were abysmal.
So going from that and then being able to kill anything with 2 wounds is phenomenal.
it also speeds up the game.
Oh yeah,
actually,
yeah,
well.
absolutely.
You know, having to roll one
at a time. Yeah. So yeah, they came very effective, and now they're everybody's choice at the moment, and they are up to the top. But that wasn't the reason why you chose them, was it? It wasn't because they were the best. You chose them because
I'm an Imperial. I'm a loyalist at heart. And I like shiny things, and the fact that I have Gilliman and my Ultramarines, the Custodians kind of go hand in hand with that, and they are just like, they are the best of the best, and
yeah,
I love these guys.
Okay.
They just look cool as well. And also, following every single tradition I've got, there is not one single unhelmeted guy in my entire army.
Yes.
Yeah. Why would you have a super genetically enhanced warrior who then just gets taken out by a piece of shrapnel?
Because they've got the Iron Halo. They've got the protection from the Emperor. If it's their time to go, it's their time to go. If not, the Emperor protects.
I think I'd rather just have a helmet on and just ignore that little rattling sniper.
Well, let's get down to tactics then. Is there certain stratagems that you wouldn't leave home without?
Well, as in stratagem?
That you wouldn't leave, that you would always guarantee you had on in front of you as the cards.
We've already spoken about Arcane Genetic Alchemy and Transhuman, that was Transhuman. The Emperor's Auspice, I think which is turn off the rerolls. There's a couple of others. There's the Ignore Mortal Wounds for Dreadnoughts on a 5-up, particularly against your Psychic armies. That'd be great in the Psychic phase. There's a stratagem I always forget to use, which will be really useful probably against Horde armies, and it's Tanglefoot Grenade. It's you can use infantry units only, so it's basically most of my army. you lob a grenade at the charging unit and it subtracts d6 inches from their charge. So if they're a kind of 8-inch charge, if you get a good roll, they can't charge you.
Yeah, they go over the charge 12 inches, and
Yeah, I mean, I've got a pile of them, but the two that we've already spoken about in great detail are the ones I'll use the most. Golden Light Marauders is a Dread Host specific one, so it costs 2 CP, but basically it means that you pick one unit who's teleported in that turn. Until your next turn, they're -1 to hit.
Yeah.
So they could be on the other side of the table, and it's -1 to hit. And also, they can't be overwatched.
Yeah.
And you can't set to defend against them. So again, it makes that unit is going to be utterly screwed if I make my 9-inch or 8-inch roll. So that's a good one. It's 2 CP, but it's well worth it. There's Unleash the Lions, which basically you can play on a Terminator unit once they're down. And they just become an individual unit of one.
Yeah, they separate from each other. Is that correct?
They do.
They become
so
individual
4 of them
units.
alive, they can spread out and become 4 single.
Now, we were discussing this in did you read somewhere they could do this before they deploy?
So again, rules as written now,
yeah,
they can do it in Deep Strike. So you could teleport in 4 individual units. However, ITC have said no, can't do that. You have to do it when they're on the table, which is fine. I prefer them to come in as big blob.
And it's done in the command phase, is that correct for that part, that stratagem?
Unleash the Lions is in your command phase, yeah.
So after the deployment, they've got to be around for a turn before your next command phase to be able to do it, which I think is reasonable, being able to put those into loads of different units. It's quite scary.
If they're still alive as a big blob and not swarmed with other people,
so
other models.
Let's go into sort of like deployment of strategies of the army then. You've already mentioned that the 2 Terminators generally start in Deep Strike. Is that the same with the Terminator Captain and the Telemon as well?
Yeah.
So those like 4 units in Deep Strike, and then you've got...
So 9 Terminators and 10 of them, basically.
Yeah.
And then strategy-wise, I'll tend to basically have Trajan and a unit of Wardens, maybe with the shield guys as well, maybe with him as well, and then the 2 spear units sticking out on the flanks.
And is that sort
it depends on the map, obviously.
That's your sort of push forward and hit the enemy hard.
It depends on the terrain in the middle.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of obscuring terrain in the middle.
We've been practicing with the Warhammer guys terrain that they're trying to push. The tabletop combat sort of terrain features with big L's and the smaller L's. And it seems that you are able to split the army into 2 and have 2 flanks with a set of units at the back.
Yeah.
So is that sort of an idea that you push on every game, or is it purely just certain maps?
I tend to try and do that in most games. If I stick enough guys in the middle and just try and draw in what I can, because they will just keep going. Obviously, if there's 6 objectives spread all across the table, you've got to kind of think about it a bit more. So I would probably stick them all on the flank and maybe have 1 unit on another flank, and then just rely on my deep striking units to kind of fill in the holes and push the back.
So you're not doing a pincer movement where part of the army is splitting.
No.
You're more of doing a spearhead where everything drives through the middle and then your Terminators come around the side.
On a 5 objective map where you've got 1 in the middle and then 2 and 2, I'd probably have 2 bases covered and then just pile everything into the middle. And then they know they either have to come and get me, or I'll overrun them and then march into their back lines as well. With 6 objectives, it's a bit harder because you just don't have the board cover.
But that's where the Atreus Contemptor comes in.
Killers can just kind of wander off
and do its own
objective.
thing. Yeah,
we've seen it happen. It is hard to screen out with Custodes, but that's just the thing you have to live with, really.
I've seen you do a fantastic job with that screening.
Inadvertently.
Inadvertently.
By failing on my charge rolls. Yeah. Inadvertently screen out all your opposition.
Okay, so secondaries. I've sort of always got a guarantee sort of idea that you're looking at, but the 5 objectives always taking Stranglehold. Would that be a fair assessment?
Stranglehold and grind them down.
Stranglehold and grind them down.
Typically, I'll probably sacrifice the 3 points in turn 1 unless I get lucky. It depends if I've got a first turn or not. But I'm so hard to kill, and that's not bragging, it's just we are hard to kill, and I will invariably kill more stuff. Obviously I'll struggle against maybe a guard army with a lot of tanks and manticores that sit back and there's very little cover, but you've got to play the mission. And then the third, I tend to sort of go with banners now, because if you can get on an objective, one of these characters can just sit and do it. you get 3 objectives
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
You start pushing up, maybe you get a 4th one.
And considering you're having to leave a unit back there anyway, you might as
Yeah.
well. And the obsec rule for your guys now is all units are obsec apart from the characters.
No, the characters are obsec.
And I believe they're double.
So every custodian unit, regardless of what they are, counts as 2 models.
2 models. So a 5-man unit can't take a 3-man unit off an objective essentially.
No.
Because you're winning by 1.
Yeah, you have to swamp them with guys.
And if you're doing that, then it means you're in combat and you're going to lose.
But yeah, so if my Achilles is sat on an objective and someone charges their running, and okay, I'll at least we'll nullify that objective. No, he counts as 2.
He counts as 2 models.
And
the
I
same
believe
with the
these
Telemon.
guys are obsec as well, but I need to double check.
I know there's an ability or relic you can give to one of your characters to make them count as 4. So I think you are right. But that's pretty cool though. So we've got the objectives. You got your secondaries down to Stranglehold and banners, and then grind them down. And that's your sort of go-to sort of 3, spreading out banners if your objectives are a little bit harder to get to, possibly.
Yeah.
And maybe...
But I've done behind enemy lines a couple of times. It was something I was toying the idea of doing that when initially I was thinking, I could do Unleash the Lions and have 4 single-man units of Terminators popping down. It's really hard to screen out
an individual,
that.
Which we know from a character from your
my
Terminator captain.
You can find the holes. You can find the
holes. Yeah.
Nick's looking worried over there. Not the holes. So those are my go-to. Obviously, like depending who you're playing, if you're playing Dreadnoughts or Thousand Suns, go for a Paul the Witch because you can just cut through them quite happily.
I know we haven't mentioned it's a battalion.
It is a battalion.
Yeah, and the other one is then who you were not looking forward to facing. If you had the choice of not going up against someone, who would it be?
Well, the problem is I've got, and I think we have at our club in general, is we lack certain factions to play against.
Yeah.
So we're all very well versed at playing Guard, Space Marines, Orcs, Thousand Suns, Custodes. We're not so good at playing Drakari, Eldar, Tyranids, Admech.
Yeah.
So all like the really good factions. Necrons, I haven't played Necrons for a while, so that's my bad. But I'm not too worried about Tau. They'll probably ask me again in a week's time.
Yes.
Oh man, Tau are horrible.
Yeah.
But it's probably the Drakari and the Tyranids. I've yet to face a true Horde army with Custodians. There are stratagems you can employ, which, well, one of the martial guitars, which we haven't really touched on, but they're like little turn-based stratagems that are free, and you just pick a fighting stance. You can basically get an extra attack at the cost of your damage.
Yes.
If you're fighting damage, one wound models, you get 4 attacks rather than 3.
90 Horror or something.
Exactly. You're going to cut through 12 of them or 15 of them rather than 10. So.
Drakari is a little bit of a...
Well, I'll ask me again tomorrow when I've played Rich's
Yeah,
Drakari.
because you're playing Drakari tomorrow, so you get some answers there. So it's more of the unknown, which is the aspect of worry for you. What about the mirror match? How would you feel about going up against another Custodians army?
I'd love it. I would really love to see.
We have such an optimistic team. Everybody I've asked about this question, how would you feel about the mirror match, or what's your worst opponent? They've gone, I don't mind, I'll play anybody.
At least I know what I'm coming up against.
I'll be happy to play my worst enemies.
There'll be a lot of Custodians. There'll be people watching us who play Custodians going, why haven't you got bikes? I know that they're good, but they just don't fit with my play style.
Yes.
They're fast, and I find that they whiz up, capture objectives, but then they just get cut off and obliterated.
Because everybody knows how much of a threat they are. So the whole army focus fires.
I thought I'd make it a bike captain, but again, he'll just float around on his own, do a bit of damage, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Which is in a way kind of what I do with my Terminator captain sometimes, but I know that that's what his job will be.
Yes.
We'll go in and kill something or tie something up. Whereas a biker captain,
well, he's not on the turn. He's not on the table on turn 1.
No.
So you haven't got to worry about getting him into position, because turn 2 is where you get him in position, and then he makes it or he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those where with a biker you have to play that whole from the beginning of deployment to setting him up in turn 1 to make it into turn 2.
Yeah.
And that can be you're overthinking it then, because you're looking for that one character to do a job. Where, like you said, your playstyle, the captain Terminator does what his role is meant to be.
And I've got another Telemon as well, and I was toying the idea of having 2 Telemons. but you can only do the deep strike stratagem on one of them now.
Yeah.
Previously, you could do it on 2 units.
But you wouldn't have the other one at the back, a bit like what you're doing with the Achilles?
Yeah, I don't know. He's much harder.
Well, the list has been submitted, so you can't change it.
Oh, no, but it was in my mind whether to do it.
A few hours.
He's got a few hours, yeah, we could. Yeah.
Hours, yeah.
So there's going to be roughly about 28 teams, 30 teams that are going to be there. So that's at least half of the teams that are going to have a Custodians army to play.
I thought you said like 28 people already with Custodians.
Yeah, 28, and there's 56 teams.
Oh, I see. So yeah,
so half of the teams. So one every 2 teams.
We're one of those teams.
We are one of those teams. Yeah, half of them will have Custodians.
Yeah, I'd say the armies that you don't want to come up against are the big shooty armies, because if you fluff a few of your dice rolls, as you've both seen me do in the past, not even in 9th and 8th, but when I played Charlie, it was tough. Granted, the mission we were playing didn't have a lot of cover in the middle, so I had to really cross the killing ground to get there, and he screened out so well with his sentinels and so on. If you're playing an efficient army with the models that can screen you out, and you've got your deep striking units appearing, in your own deployment zone, that's going to be tough. But you can't worry about this kind of stuff. You just got to play what you've got.
So we haven't mentioned, since you've been playing this army, how many defeats, how many losses have you had? None. And how many wins?
9.
9. I think you're up to 9 or 10 yet.
Yeah.
So that is 9. I think it's 9 consecutive wins since you've been playing the new Custodians from the Codex.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that? Are you happy that you've won every game, or would you prefer to have at least lost one before the tournament anyway?
How much do you want me to make you cry, Matt? 3 of them are really easy because it gets Imperial Fists.
But that's
no,
the game as good as it got.
You have.
Yeah.
It's hard with it. You've got an old Codex, and I was in the same position a couple of months ago when I tried to play you. They just couldn't hack it. I'm happy with it. There is a little part of me that's like, oh, I haven't played Grey Knights, I haven't played Elder. Oh, actually, I have played Elder, but I played a very mixed Elder army of just a bit of everything, and he was just out for some fun, so that's fine. It is the unknown that kind of worries me, but I'm not going to get too worried.
Okay.
If I come up against Knights, I might have a little bit of flashbacks to our last tournament when I took Ultramarines and was tabled by turn 2.
I mean, in that the terrain was light, medium, heavy, and you were put on the light table against Knights
end to end deployment,
end to end, so long distance, further away, and they got first turn. And they annihilated 2 of the dreads in turn 1 because you didn't get the 5.
Oh, and my dreads blew up as well.
Yeah.
So all that stuff,
all the pain and suffering from that. Yeah.
If I have Knights, I'll probably have a crazy flashbacks.
I think the last time I checked, there was 5 Knight players. That means there's 5 teams with Knights.
I think that guy may well be going. Yeah. It's our friends from Newbury, I think.
Okay,
yeah. Super best friends.
Yeah, super best friends. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
See if we can get a match up against him again, and you get some revenge.
So
any tips for someone collecting it? Any tips for maybe stratagems or ways to play the?
The good thing is that there's not really any bad units for Custodians. Obviously, I'm missing all the what they call the sisters.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not bothering that. I'm just going all Custodians. Yes, you can worry about the psychic stuff. All Custodians have a built-in 6-up shrug on psychic, so you've always got that little bit of faith. But I've played Thousand Suns and didn't
stood the test of time.
Stood the test
compared
so
to them.
Far. Haven't played Grey Knights and other factions, so I just don't worry too much about it. There's no bad Custodians units you can get. Wardens are out of favour. Look at them. I've got 8 of them here now. That's a fifth of my army in 8 models for Wardens. But I think they're perfect. With the bodyguard rule as it stands, you're crazy not to take a couple of units really. And I've gone for 4 just to give them that extra bit of. You want to kill my character, you've got to kill 4 of these guys, not 3. And a 4-man unit is still quite relatively easy to hide as well.
Is there anything else you want to mention, or to the guys out there collecting Custodians?
Do you make sure you've got a good can of spray paint?
Yeah.
Because that can save you a lot of time. They're really easy to paint as well, to be honest, guys.
And they look beautiful. They do have a really good, nice golden shine to them.
Some of them you can see here. This is one of the earlier ones that's painted. This is a newer one, so there's a bit of difference. But I wouldn't say anything too much. Just enjoy it while they're
At the top.
At the top, because the new codexes are coming, the NIDs and all the others. So
Eldar out next week.
The Tau codex is just out.
Yeah.
Probably not enough people have been able to get their Tau up and running, as we know from Nick, who's currently feverishly working away on his Tau. So yeah, if anyone's looking to get in now, I'd say start with Trajan, get a couple of boxes of Custodian Guard, your normal guys, and then go around that. You probably want to look at Forge World because there's a lot of Forge World stuff. So yeah, I'd just say just enjoy it. There's not really too much.
Thanks for discussing and taking the breakdown of the army with us. We hope that you like this and look forward to one more. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Like, share, subscribe, put something in the comments if you enjoyed it. Let us know how you feel about it, anything you would change, anything you'd add. And the next time you see us from reporting on this army, we'll let you know if it lost any at the team tournament.
So we've got 5 games, haven't we?
5 games.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna win 3.
3 out of 5.
I'm being positive, optimistic.
See, everybody said 3 out of 5 is what they're aiming for.
I'm aiming for 1.
You're aiming for 1. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. A good thing for me would be winning 3. If I can win 2, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But 3 would be great.
To be honest, as a team tournament, I'd be happy to win 3. Yeah. Knowing the matchups and how it works, there's a good chance we're going to lose at least 1. So let's go with 3. But there is going to be a live stream from the Honest Wargamer, so you never know. If we win our first 2 games, there's a possibility there.
Like at Cardiff.
Like at
We
Cardiff.
won our first 2 games and came up against all the top tier.
Yeah.
UK
I just got
raised.
smashed.
Oh, hello. This is what this is like.
Okay, so thanks very much. Catch you later. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whee!